Sorry about that. We are back. We had some audio issues, and they are fixed. Hopefully, let us know in the chat down below. And as we were continuing to list off our guests, we have a dynamic duo coming in today. We have two members from Duel of the Ranks. We have Brody and Amanda. Let's bring them in.
Hi.
How is everybody?
We're doing great. This is our third podcast of the week, so it's great that I never have like a shortage of things to say. So
especially on this week's episode of Kenobi.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely. Where can we find you guys?
You can find us at Duel of the Ranks, all one word, on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and then also dueloftheranks.com.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being on. We appreciate it. Thank you, Kenny, for letting us know that our audio is not dog shit. StreamYard, I want my money back.
You want your $200 back for the year?
All right. And our final guest.
Yes, let's bring in the person who we thought was shorter than we expected. Nedra at Nedralovescosplay.
Unmute yourself, Nedra.
Howdy.
So there's a funny story. So when Nedra was rewatching the trivia tournament, she was there as a guest, and she messaged me and she told me her friend saw it, and when Luke and I were talking about Nedra, and when Luke said she was shorter than I expected, then I said, well, tell me about it. And Nedra came up and was like, oh my God, my friend messaged me and talking about like how short she was and everything. And like, I don't know, but it was a funny little thing. But,
yeah, absolutely.
So just to give you some context as to bringing her in.
And we love Nedra. We love having you on. Nedra, where can the good people follow you on the social medias?
Nedra loves cosplay everywhere except Twitter. That's Nedra loves Jedi, because I do sometimes.
Awesome. Thank you all for joining. Sorry about the technical issues.
Hey, I already apologize.
If you can't tell, that I'm really flustered because of that. But we're all here to talk about this week's episode in Kenobi,
which we got a lot of talk about.
Yeah, we got a ton.
There's some things that happened that we are going to dive deep into because it's going to be a long conversation just talking about just a few of the scenes of this episode.
No, yeah, absolutely. So obviously the way we do this is that we ask questions and it's kind of just like an open dialogue. So just feel free to open up and just have a conversation. Amanda is going to have to leave during this. So I want to kind of get this going so that we can get as much in as possible and we get to hear her thoughts. So, first question. First of all, kind of not off topic, but what was everybody's reaction to that opening scene? And how much did you like either A, shit yourself, or B, just like lose your goddamn mind? And Amanda, I'll start with you.
I woke up early, so I was like half asleep still, and my fiance and I like sat on the couch in the morning to watch it, sort of like Saturday morning cartoons before work. And it first opens up on Coruscant. It was sort of like your guys' live reactions to it all. At first I was like, Coruscant, wait a second. And then it kept panning out, and I screamed so loud that my cats like bolted off of the couch and like ran across the room. And my mouth was so open. My fiance looks over and he sees me drool. So it was a very authentic drool, but I feel like it was very warranted for the amazingness that we got on screen.
No, yeah. Anybody else? What was everybody else's reactions? Just jump on in.
Yeah, like I watched mine as early in the morning as I could. I get up, it was dark, I had my cats on my couch with my husband, and all of a sudden I saw Coruscant, and I just started yelling like, no. And I know my husband was like, what is wrong? What is happening? And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like this, oh my gosh. Like I had a pillow. I was like back seeing the Attack of the Clones is my favorite, episode 2 is my favorite film. And I was just like, I was happy. I was incandescent is a good word.
hence why I wore the Attack of the Clones.
I love it. Yes. Yes.
We gotta represent.
Love
being
it.
an Anakin stan. So, yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, I was confused. I was like, they opened it up, and I'm like, wait, Alderaan? I'm like, no, that's not Alderaan. And then it's they pan out, and you see Anakin, and you're like, oh, that's what they're doing. And then he turns around, and he's old now, and it's like, oh, all right.
Brody, your thoughts?
Oh my gosh, I think I was like 8 or 9 when Attack of the Clones came out, and that for me was Star Wars. That's when I really jumped in, got to meet, Jango Fett and all those people, and that was my first real like exposure to Obi-Wan Kenobi, growing up at that age. And so seeing those two, those haircuts and everything go at it, I don't know, I wasn't able to contain my excitement. It was probably like 6:30 a.m. and I'm just like screaming. Everyone else in the house is just like, this nerd. Sleep. I couldn't stop.
Nedra.
So like the way with like the old cathode ray TVs, like when you would like turn them off, how everything would get silent, like super silent, like you thought it was already quiet, but then like you turn off a TV that wasn't doing anything, you thought, and then it gets like turbo quiet. My brain did the opposite of that. I didn't know I needed this. I was on another Sorry Besties podcast.
Hey, we all know that we are your number one. So
for sure, always
number one in your heart,
always. But like, so the podcast that I was on, it was like also an after show, so it wasn't like a live reaction. But like, I was saying like, I never thought about the fact that I wanted an Obi-Wan Kenobi live action series. I just didn't think it was fathomable as a thing to want. So I've been like enjoying this ride the whole time. And I didn't care if they ever showed us anything that happened before 10 years after Order 66. Like I would have been fine if everything was like present day. But the scream that I scrumped when I saw the Coruscant skyline and our beloved Anakin turning around and being like, "Oh, hello, it's me. Look, it's me." And I don't care how he looks.
And he was smiling.
He was beautiful. He was perfect. He's our boy. That's our boy.
Yes, it is our boy.
That was kind of like the last time you could truly be kind of not like checking, like looking over your shoulders and like watching from a private tab while you're like, or like incognito mode, like when you're being like, oh, Anakin's a great guy. Like that era. Just kidding. No, it's not.
You always have to have your looking over your shoulder when Anakin is around, okay?
I always forget about.
But
yeah.
the other thing is
pre-Anakin and Padme's relationship. So it was like still that yearning, but they hadn't like been together yet. So that also just destroyed me.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
wait, quick revision.
yes.
The dyad is more than a podcast. So like that's why.
Oh,
I
hey,
like
Chaco, I'm sorry, but that's one thing that we've got you beat at. Nathan loves us. I'm sorry. We've started off really hot
Going
here.
down the gauntlet, yeah.
But like honestly, I think the greatest thing is the way they use this scenario in this flashbacks, because in a way it's almost like Vader is thinking about that time, but it's also I think the reasoning why they didn't de-age them is to show like Anakin thinking about what Obi-Wan is now and how he would look if he were that age, if he hadn't gotten burnt and hadn't lost all of his limbs and like they were fighting. That's how I think that's why they de-aged. They didn't de-age Hayden.
Well, or they didn't de-age it because Hayden Christensen still kind of looks the same as he did 20 years
yeah,
ago.
but you can see the wrinkles. But like, I had no issues with the no de-aging. I thought he looked great.
That was
His smile in one of the flashbacks was like, it looks just like Attack of the Clones.
Yes,
Just like the
yeah.
picnic scene where he was smiling at Padme. The smile is exactly the same. Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
It is nice to see the discourse around men appearing to age instead of it just being on women. So, but still, I don't think he should have been de-aged.
No, yeah.
I
But
just
also,
want
I
that
think
discourse to
appreciate that
stop.
like Ewan McGregor just doesn't age.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's the beard.
Not needed.
Honestly, I think it's the beard.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. But so why do you think Vader reminisced about that specific moment between him and Obi-Wan during that opening scene? Don't all jump on at once.
I mean, there's a lot. Like, there's a lot. I think that's a very general question because I feel like there was a lot happening, like not only in the lightsaber styles and like reflecting so many different like lightsaber moments. Like Deborah Chow is a fucking genius, and like I love what they did and like the pulling back and it was a beautiful storytelling. God, I have pregnancy brain. I can't.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My brain went do 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 do, and I didn't hear the question. So what was the question?
So we're off to a great start. Why do you think Vader reminisced about the specific moment between him and Obi-Wan?
Oh, because it was something that was a lesson that kind of stuck with him that didn't click. I feel like I feel like it's kind of like this question. If I was listening and I just didn't like get it. And then I was like, oh yeah, like sometimes you'll ask someone to repeat something even though you heard what they said, and it just takes your brain a moment. I feel like with him, he thought about this particular moment because it felt significant. He never understood why it felt significant, and then at the end of that interaction, he had it click, like it finally sunk in. And I think that's probably why that was the thing that sort of peppered this episode.
Yeah. Amanda, Brody?
I just feel like that's just this perpetual, I mean, back to what we were just saying, like just this lesson he always reflects on. I mean, the only other thing I could think that he dwells on so much would be that final fight on Mustafar, but there's so much in that case where he thought he won, but there's so many little things that he just wasn't paying attention to because he was just so focused on the prize. And that's what this whole episode's about. Don't get so focused on the prize that you can't see what else is going on around you, as we see with that being Reva's fault at the end because she's so focused on Vader. So for me, it's this constant reminder, like, I want Kenobi, but don't just go charging in. Like when she's saying, oh, what did she say? Like, oh, if
they can withstand for weeks, and he says we don't need weeks.
Yeah, he's paying attention to everything else. He's like reminding himself of that lesson to say, let's pay attention to our surroundings here. Let's not get too crazy, get gung ho, and we'll get what we want.
I also think about when they first match up in part 3 and Vader delivers that line, I am what you made me, and thinking about now Vader / Anakin reflecting on his past in those moments and where Obi-Wan stood as far as like in that further along the Jedi path and more strict to the code, and what Anakin was looking for. And it almost highlighted that tension of he wanted to achieve something differently and they could not see eye to eye. So it was there from the beginning, but it shows how it's all severed even further.
No, yeah, Choco has a good point. It's Vader's first step to get out of Obi-Wan's shadow. I was but the learner, now I am the master. I need Chris to do that voice. Xcore, your thoughts?
So I don't read the flashback as sort of something they're remembering at the same time. It's sort of like the narrator of this episode is that flashback. That's sort of how I look at it, because it's yeah, granted it's one of their memories, but it's also like this. Star Wars is like poetry. It rhymes. And this is something that they're going to go through again, and they go through it again even later. In episode 4 that they meet again, and again Vader is so focused on Kenobi that he loses the real prize, which is the twins and the Death Star plans.
I guess I have a follow-up question to everyone. Do you think this is a dual flashback that they are both sort of remembering this at the same time, or is it just Vader's flashback? And if so, is it a reliable narrative? Is he a reliable narrator in how those events went down?
Man, that's
I think it is.
thought.
I think it is simultaneously because I mean I think that was foreshadowed with the back to tank scene at the beginning of episode
Agreed.
4.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like that was like the first instance where they are having the same thought process, but they're both looking at it from a different perspective. So I mean I think they're thinking about it at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's at different points though, because
Mhm.
Vader is the one that is first initially thinking about it, and then once Obi-Wan is like he'll come, like that's what he's going to do, and then it flips right back to the flashback to where Obi-Wan is, and it's fantastically done because I believe during that back to tank scene is where their connection really was the strongest, and now we're seeing it through this flashback, and now they're both remembering at the same time. So I
I guess-
also kind of see it like that. Kir?
Am I the only one who didn't really think they were? I thought it was more like a narrative storytelling device, or like maybe they remembered parts of it. I didn't see it as like a joint flashback, like force vision or anything.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
I mean, hey, we've got all different types of views on this. I really like.
Yeah,
that.
I don't think it's as much as like they thought about it at the same time, but they both remember it, but
Mhm.
they see it in a different way that juxtaposes each other. That's just me. And yeah, and then what Brooke said in the chat too, the narrator was informing us of the reasons behind the actions of the characters in the present day. I don't necessarily think that they are remembering that exact moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
Like,
also
literally
comes into play.
Thrawn Alliance's moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
But no, so like I promise I'm not going to go on a tangent about Mr. Robot. I love doing it, but I'm not going to do it today. But Deborah Chow directed one of my favorite episodes of Mr. Robot, and you don't need to know a whole lot about the show to understand why I drew a connection. I don't think it was from that episode. It might have been from that episode. But a character said, "You're too busy staring at what's in front of you and you're not seeing what's above you." And so like that was like, and they said what's above you, and it's like God. And like throughout the concept, I'm getting into Mr. Robot, but anyway, like God as in this context to me, when I think about like what's above you and what's not in front of you, is like the Force, and the fact that like the Force is sort of, depending on how you look at it, either a completely neutral and balanced thing, or something that will always push for what's the best for whoever overall, I guess. I don't know. But like that reminded me of that. And so I had to say that before I forgot it forever. And now it's like I'm like taking notes now. But yeah, same. I didn't think about it as a dual memory. I just know it went from that flashback to Vader. And so to me, that was saying this was a memory that Vader was having. And it was kind of in the back of his mind the entire time, and it informed that interaction with Reva. And it was kind of why he could suss out what she was doing, because he remembers not having that patience. Also, can I go on my tangent about patience? So something that I noticed, since patience and delayed gratification is a recurring theme in this, who was the first person that we saw in the tombs? Spoiler. Yup.
Yeah.
And what was his big lesson to Ahsoka when she lost her lightsaber?
Well, Tara Sinube taught her that you have to it was something about like slowing yourself down in order to I'm not remembering the exact quote, but it had something to do with like pacing yourself.
Yep. And being patient and understanding that the quickest payoff that you can get is not always the best, right? And then we had the moment where Obi-Wan was like, we can't wait to get Leia. We have to do this now. So what I got from that was that the answer is somewhere in the middle, balance, where you have to pick your spots. You have to know Brooke.
Yes.
But like where you have to pick your spots, where patience is good, but sometimes you don't want to wait too long. And sort of it's kind of indicative of what Vader did a little here, where he gave them enough time to sort of come up with a plan and sort things out. Like, it's I feel like Thrawn has said something about this. Like, he said something about like being masterful and knowing when to strike. I swear that man. Okay, anyway, that's it.
And
wait, is that the fourth member of the Podwans podcast, Chewie?
it is.
Chewie.
Chewie makes a appearance because he's being naughty. But anyway, but moving into the next question, how does when Obi-Wan, I think Obi-Wan's reading the all the quotes on the wall. He reads one. He says, "The light will fade, but it's never forgotten." How does that quote relate to Obi-Wan at this point in his life?
He's not there yet. He's almost there. He's not there yet.
He's starting to get his groove back. Like, we talked on Duel of the Ranks when Obi-Wan starts giving commands to like check out and close down each of the entrances. The music swells and is like this very hopeful, and it's like General Kenobi stepping up again and like being that leader. And even if he's not totally ready, it is sort of like muscle memory to him. And that's what I got from that.
Yeah.
I also feel like it's like, don't forget why you started. And sort of like remembering what got him where he is and what his original goal was to protect Luke, right? So like, just, and maybe not even like literal memory, just sort of like, it's all like the Force always sort of being there, even when he cut himself off from it, even when he's like, I'm sorry, I am a meat packer, leave me alone. Like, it was still in him then. And I think that's just sort of like, you can't get that out of your blood. The Force is like a venom, says the Book of Sith.
Well, like the Grand Inquisitor says, the Jedi Code is like an itch. Exactly. Anybody else got anything to add on that quote? And where do we think it does it fit Obi-Wan, or is it like Xcore and Amanda were saying, is that he's still kind of getting back into his mojo?
Oh, he'll be there by the end of the show. Yeah, but he's getting there.
Yeah, like the quote is, "The light will fade, but it is never forgotten." Change the to my, and that's essentially what it is. My light will fade, but it is never forgotten. That's essentially what Obi-Wan is in this point in time.
Yeah.
Or our.
And you think about how he leaves Luke in A New Hope. He looks over so confidently, knowing that like Vader then is distracted by Obi-Wan in the way that Reva says that he will be, but isn't this time. So I like to think of how that starts to bleed into what we see between their fight in A New Hope.
I love that. So do you think that's why he can't access or communicate with Qui-Gon yet? Like, I'm still really hoping for a cameo or voiceover at the end.
You will. You will.
Yeah,
but
no, like, he hasn't quite, got himself together or attached to the Force or whatever, at that point. But so Ewan has talked about a season 2, right? Or like if they do another one or something further. I know it was a limited series, but there's a lot of talk about that. Is it just going to be Obi-Wan badassing his way through the desert, or does he have more to grow? Like, I can't imagine him being full General Kenobi by the end of the next episode. I don't know. Maybe I'm just skeptical, but I'm just curious if you think it has any tie-ins to why he can't communicate with his old master.
Yeah.
But yet.
I definitely, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I definitely was thinking the same thing. And something that Deborah Chow has been doing masterfully is pacing the progress of Obi-Wan. And I saw people complaining about like the jumpiness of the fight scenes up until recently. And it's like, because in universe, he's not a good enough fighter to support a long shot choreography like situation. Like it's not going to work. It's not going to be interesting to watch for an audience. So of course you are getting this sort of like shaky cam stuff. Like people are walking headfirst into the point, still missing it. But every single episode we've gotten more and more of our boy, and it's not like they're nerfing him. It's like he's earning. It's serving the time that was in between. And what in my head, I don't care if this doesn't happen. I'll be fine. I promise. But like, if he trains Reva, if she goes to Tatooine and starts training with him, that could kind of give him a way to sort of push past whatever boundaries or whatever. Or even if he trains Leia a little, you know, like just sort of anything to sort of like tap back into being a master and like teaching people and having these teachable moments. Because that's consistently a thing that makes a Jedi stronger.
Xcore?
Yeah, I always say about the Force when people talk about Jedi training, the Jedi don't train to master the Force. They train to master themselves. The Force is a connection between yourself and the rest of the universe. So yeah, some things take practice, but if we look really at the High Republic, and one of the reasons I love the High Republic is because of all the Force lore you get when they're training Bell.
Yes.
To stop himself from falling. No one gives him explicit instructions. It's just like, nah, dude, you just got to do it. Like, you just got to do it. And then when the time comes and it's either, you know, and he's got to save the girl, it's exactly what he does. So the Force isn't a set of super abilities. It's a connection between yourself and the rest of the universe. And so yes, there is skill and there is mastery and there is combat and there is all that, but you don't get there through practice. You get there through meditation.
It's an amazing point.
Brody?
Amazing.
Yeah, no, I think everyone's already hit the nail on the head for me. I mean, especially what Char was saying before, it so much so applies to him. And by the fact that, and especially in that setting, where I forget the character's name, Ice Cube's son.
Roken.
Roken.
Yeah, he still remembers him as a general now. I don't know if they're pulling from EU or what's going on there, but he's not really a part of the Jedi Order anymore. But people still revere him in that light. People still know of what he's done in the past, and there's that expectation that he's going to come to the plate and deliver because they know who he is. They know what he's capable of. And he might not 100% see it in himself, and he might not believe in himself to do that. But with Leia in the situation, it's kind of like, all right, whatever it takes. And so that's what I'm thinking of when I saw that scene.
No, yeah, and I mean, it's a good point. Like in Brotherhood, it's specifically like you get the feel of like 2003 Clone Wars, Obi-Wan, Anakin, like those are like the tales of the Clone Wars, and that's what people have grown up with, and those are the stories that they know of the Jedi after the Empire. I mean, minus the whole Empire propaganda saying that they had betrayed the Republic and betrayed Palpatine. But like some people just have those memories, and that's why I think he kind of understands who Obi-Wan is and what he's about. But I think that's so amazing, and this whole episode is just full of everything. And yeah, I mean,
like Luke, that there was like one scene like this to kick off like this episode with how part 4 ended with Lola.
Yes.
Getting a tracker placed in her to kickstart what happens in part 5. And this is essentially what triggers the plot of this episode. And they see that the hatch is open above them, and then it closes because Lola starts going into the wiring and starts, twisting all this mechanics that were set up to lock them in so that the Empire can infiltrate them. And then Roken and Obi-Wan talk, and Roken says that he has maybe a few hours to fix it. And then Obi-Wan's like, make it 1. And then you see the general of him come out and display itself for like the one final battle.
Absolutely.
And then Roken's like, well, I'm not going to be climbing up in vents. I'm too big for that. And then Leia comes up with one of the best response that Kid Leia could ever come up with is that I'm going to need a ladder. Which I was dying laughing when she said that. I was like, that is such a perfect but funny response to say in the midst of being locked in and being hunted down by the Empire. And Roken seems to like looking at this little girl and questioning why Obi-Wan trusts her because she's just a child. But then Obi-Wan says, well, I trust her. And then, because Roken trusts Obi-Wan, and then Obi-Wan trusts her. So that tells Roken, like, okay, fine, I'll help her. I'll help her do it because since Obi-Wan trusts her, I trust her. Which leads to the question, which is Obi-Wan says that he trusts Leia. Do you think he would have had the same sentiment if baby Anakin was in the same position? What made her win his trust so easily? We'll start with Brody.
That's such a tough question.
Which is why I give it to you.
I know, because I have all the answers. No, no, I don't know. I mean, when you think back to episode 1, he just, and before he's even really met Anakin, he throws the biggest shade his way when he asks Qui-Gon. He's like, why do I have the feeling we've picked up yet another pathetic life form? And so seeing where he's gone from that to just basically disliking kids to, all right, here's a little girl who's just got this commanding presence. I fully trust her. I mean, I don't really know. Maybe there's so much of her mother that he sees in her that they tied in from a few episodes ago. Yes. And he just remembers what Padme could do. And because of that tie-in, he's like, okay, I'm bought in. I bought into her potential. Let's just see what happens. I can't get a whole lot worse. So go. That's the only reasoning I could get in something out of that scene.
Yeah, and I think that directly relates to when where Obi-Wan mistakenly calls her Leia when they were disguised as Luma and I'm forgetting what Obi-Wan's undercover name was. But the scene where Obi-Wan talks about whenever I look at her, it reminds me of her mother, and it's like he has like this unique connection to Padme, which is slowly just seeping down into Leia, and why he trusts her so much. And obviously that's one of the reasons why he also trusts Luke so much, and why he believes in him so much, because it's like what Padme fought for, it would not die with Obi-Wan. It would get passed down from Obi-Wan to the children. So
now I see Luke being Anakin's son and Leia being Padme's daughter, because go ahead, Luke.
I think you switch it.
Really?
I see. Oh yes, Leia is very much like Anakin.
Oh yeah,
very.
I can see the argument to be made.
Very rebellious.
She's very.
She's really not. But go ahead.
But she is.
But she's not.
She's looking up. She's looking up at the
next on Duel of the Ranks.
She's looking up out on the ships, just like Anakin would have done in Mos Espa in episode 1. She is so like rebellious, just like Anakin.
Just
okay,
like
Padme. But okay, go.
Okay, so here's the difference. Here's the difference, and we get this in episode 4. Put Anakin in that same spot with Reva. He's gonna try to get out of it physically, whereas Leia thinks her way out, and that's exactly the same type of thing between Padme and Anakin.
Well,
Anakin
I also want to
his way out of like anything. He's always grabbing for his lightsaber or force pushing somebody. Yeah. Like that's the difference, and that's the difference between Luke and Leia. Luke's first reaction is, I'm there. I'm in. I'm grabbing my lightsaber. I'm grabbing my blaster. I'm in.
Okay, go, Amanda.
I like that comment about how Leia and Padme were raised in a more upper class society. That's a good call out. But I wanted to call out in Rebels when we see Luke and Leia, and Leia is running trade already and moving transports and she's making deals, and Luke is just like blah, 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 like playing with his toys. He we open up on A New Hope and he has this like he's just like a kid, and the maturity between the two of them is very obvious. Like the first time we see Luke is him running away from responsibility and hiding on the roof of the house and like pretending he's pod racing. Meanwhile, Leia is like
also running away
a
from her responsibility.
Self-starter. That's true, but there's like a huge maturity difference between the two of them, and you can't say that Padme is less mature than Anakin. So
yeah, that's true too. Yeah, Bail. Yeah, there's a lot of Bail in Leia as well, but like I can see they've got so much of their parents, both of them do, and like the way that it's shown throughout this show is just done fantastically. And anybody that says that Deborah Chow doesn't know Star Wars can kiss my ass, because literally she has knocked it out of the park every single time she's been called on. So
I never doubted Deborah Chow.
No, me neither.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go, Nedra. Oh, go.
Okay. So on Twitter, I started a thread about Deborah Chow's episode of Mr. Robot.
Here we go.
Hear me out, because you guys actually made something click. Literally, in the episode that she directed, there was a time crunch, and one of the hackers just copied and pasted some malware and got called a script kiddie. Like that just means someone who doesn't really know what they're doing or whatever, who's like steals scripts to like whatever. She was like, we're on a time crunch. I did what I could do. And like a malware detector caught it or whatever. And so in this episode, our big MacGuffin or red herring, our red herring is literally red. It's Lola. And we've got this like really low level tech that she's just like, oh, get that out of here. And she just tosses it and it's over. And things work. And it's sort of like, there's a parallel to that too. There's so much about intention, time, doing what you could, the best you can do in the time constraints and the restraints that you have, whatever. Leia has proven herself consistently good at thinking on the fly. 100%. That's why I would trust her. Like, her and Anakin were both kids, and you can only trust kids so far in these high stress situations, right? Or in any situation. But like in high stress situations, you can only trust kids so much. But Leia has consistently proven herself since the first time she made a mistake, and she was like, I'm sorry I messed up. I'm not going to do that again. And she's done nothing but not mess up since then. And she's proven herself. And that's why Obi-Wan, without a second's hesitation, was like, that little girl says, get me a ladder, get that girl a ladder, because she knows what time it is.
No, yeah. Kir, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm glad someone said it. Like, I think both Luke and Leia have attributes of Anakin and Padme, but I don't think you should discount Leia just because she's Padme and Anakin's kid. Like, she's this incredible, young, but incredible woman who, like Nedra said, has proven herself. And I think also, maybe, if Obi-Wan's more connected with the Force, maybe he just can kind of sense it too. Like, he just doesn't, he's in that zone, right? You talked about him being more general-like, and it's like he just knew, he made a decision, like he would in Clone Wars, trusting certain clones, trusting certain people. He just had that feeling, whether it was based on Leia's past actions or the Force or whatever. Didn't even hesitate, nor should he, honestly. It was the right choice. So I loved it.
Hereth, I haven't heard much from you.
I mean, everyone's bringing up good points. Why would I? But I was gonna go with Anakin.
He didn't want to interrupt the flow.
Yes.
Because we've had some good conversations.
No, yeah, but your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think everyone's right. Like, I think Leia has a combination of both Padme and Anakin, so I think that's right. I think Obi-Wan, like Kira saying, he's just in his groove. Leia's just, he's trusted her so far. Like, why shouldn't she? Like, she's been useful this entire series. I think Tala's advice near the end of the episode sticks with Obi-Wan with the Force. So it's like he's even more connected more than ever by the end of this. So it's just like, why not trust Leia after all?
No, yeah. Absolutely. So we move into like the next phase here. So Obi-Wan gets the message from Bail, and Tala comes and talks to him, and she talks about her first interaction with the Force sensitives and how she didn't know what they were going to do. And then she pulls out her gun, and in her holster she has tallies of how many Force sensitives she has saved. Now, thinking back, do you think Obi-Wan thought of Anakin and Ahsoka's game of counting the amount of droids they cut down when Tala showed the marks on her holster? How was Tala's meaning behind her marks different from Anakin and Ahsoka's?
Don't send me on my droid tangent. Like, please, literally anyone else take
I
that.
mean, you've been on a lot of tangents. What else is new? I love it.
But the droid one is a really specific one that I don't think is entirely relevant right now. You know?
I'm just gonna build off what Nedra says. I think it's more of like I don't think it's like a game. I think it's more of like they took them from me. I'm gonna like make sure like those 14 people that died, they really feel what happened. I don't think it's like I don't think there's much of a comparison here. I think it's more of like Tala's like, I've seen what the Empire has done. They're gonna do it again. I'm make sure it's not gonna happen this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a much different thing. I think it's so Anakin and Ahsoka had a game, and that this isn't a game.
Okay.
So you guys interpreted that entirely different. So I'm Team Droid Rights.
Hey, we support.
Yes, I
anything
support
for
droid rights too.
Except for D Squad. Don't.
Except D Squad. Yeah.
Don't.
Okay,
let
D
me-
Squad wasn't the worst part of that episode. Let's be real. It's the little
That's
guy.
very true.
Oh,
Squad is the
it
greatest thing to
changed-
ever happen to Star Wars.
You know?
I don't even know.
But
That is report BZ.
We'll move on from that one. Let's get into Reva. I think it's Reva time, to be honest, because she's got a lot going on in this.
Well, it's
episode.
Morbin time all the time, but it's Reva time now. So.
Don't you mean it's Morphin time?
Morbin time.
Oh my god!
Oh, Luke doesn't know.
I didn't watch that crappy movie.
Most people
It is
who
the
are making
greatest
those
movie of
jokes
our
haven't.
century.
Best friend. I don't know how to tell you this.
That's the whole point of the shit post. And then we're just like, oh yeah, here it goes again.
Yep.
So I saw somebody made a video on that, and I have to repeat it so that people understand how freaking hilarious it is. They released it in 1,000 theaters and made less than $85,000 back. So they made less than $85 per theater.
Jeez.
Math.
Like,
Math, it's great. Somehow Morbius has taken over our podcast.
now there's a petition with over 150,000 or 15,000 signatures or something ridiculous to release it a third time.
Jesus.
We were busy that weekend. We promised to watch it again.
So we get to the interesting thing earlier in the episode with Reva and Obi-Wan having that kind of Force whisper kind of conversation, which is very, very important to all of the naysayers, all of the people that did not like Reva's character. It's called patience, motherfuckers. It's called watching the whole goddamn show through till the end.
It's called foreshadowing and a payoff.
It's called
What a concept.
It's called
What?
watching it
Impossible.
till the end. Literally. This was like the biggest payoff because I like literally, if you paid attention, Reva was that child. Like you could pull it out in the first episode.
Yeah, I said it immediately. Like we'd all see the pictures of Moses Ingram, and then we see this little girl. I'm like, oh, that's what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's a thing. Okay.
I'm sorry if you didn't catch on to that. Like that's fine. That's great. But don't use that as an excuse of why this show stunk for 4 episodes. Get the hell out of here.
Also, it's just so dry clean brain to be like, hey, this show is like those plot holes. This person seems really childish. Okay, I hate it. It's bad acting. And like, I don't know this person's entire backstory 2 episodes in. This is trash writing. And then being like, see, this episode is everything we wanted.
Yeah.
From episode 1 through 4. And it's like, why do you think that is, friend? Why do you think, like, if we started with this episode, right? There would have been complaints about, oh, how does how does this like Inquisitor? She just happens to
She'd
know.
be a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's dead ass. Just like, I feel like there's just this wild brain rot that's happened in terms of treating TV series that are serialized like what they are, which are movies with extra time to flesh things out. Like, it's an ongoing story. Give it freaking time. Like, and it was blowing my mind because like Better Call Saul was airing kind of around the same time as it started, and there's none of this kind of discourse on the internet about that show. And it really got me into this like K-hole of thinking about what is it about Star Wars that breaks people's brains to why they expect to have all the answers immediately. And it's because this is a 50-year-old property and most of the stuff already exists. And so it's these persisting stories that chaps people's like lips and palms because they're like, I need to know everything all at once. I need to be able to hop on Wikipedia or whatever and like find out the answers. I can't talk with my whole chest and be an expert and impress my nerd friends if this story has not told itself. And it's just like, for the love of God, let yourself have this. We are getting a live action Obi-Wan Kenobi series with Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor.
Yep.
Your inner child would be thrilled. Your inner child would be eating this up, but instead your like content-oriented brain, you're needing to have all the answers and be cool and be able to posture yourself amongst other people who, let's not even get into like the micro identities that like feed into like, I can't know less than this person, you know, like nonsense.
Yeah.
All of it is just robbing these people of an amazing experience that I'm lucky to have my bubble of friends engaging in good faith with the series. And we are having a freaking blast.
Yes, exactly, Nedra. Amanda, I know you got a jet here pretty quick. I want your thoughts on this last question here. What separates her from the other Jedi younglings that survived, whether it be Cal, whether it be Kanan, whether it be well, he's not a youngling, but other Jedi's experiences with surviving Order 66, and why do you think she blames Obi-Wan, and then also where we can find you, and so on and so forth.
That's a great question. Well, I think she blames Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan is essentially responsible for training him and raising him and leading him down the right path. So it's kind of like blaming your father or something for how your kid turned out. But I am so intrigued that we got a survival story from inside the Jedi Temple. We also know that Grogu was in the Jedi Temple, and I was waiting to see like some sort of like, I don't know, a peek at where he could be or another Jedi or some, like, how did he get out of there? I want to start seeing that piece together. But I think getting this first, like, real firsthand POV account of Anakin walking in, and especially when she said, I thought he was there to save us.
Oh, yeah.
That was brutal. Brutal.
Yeah, that was real tough. But Amanda, thank you for coming on.
You know I'll be back.
Oh yeah, you'll be back for Rebels. But where can the good people find you?
You can find me every Thursday night, same time as Pod Ones is when Duel of the Ranks records live. So if you ever get bored of them, you can join our stream as well.
Or just double monitor.
Yeah, there you go.
Lurk.
We're also at Duel of the Ranks on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And then if you want to interact with me personally, I am at coldbrewwoo_. And I talk a lot about Star Wars and other TV shows. So
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me on. It was great meeting all of you.
Can't wait to have you on more stuff.
Yeah.
We will talk to you later.
See ya.
Have a good one. Brody, question to you now.
Yes.
I know you've been sitting back. I know you didn't quite enjoy Reva's character.
It was a good
No.
poetic irony there. That's what I was laughing at.
But
she's a good character.
But you have taken it back. Now I want your answer to the same question. What separates her from the other younglings that survived, or other Jedis that survived?
Yeah. And I also want to preface, like, I do think Reva, I think she's an interesting character. We've had this discussion many a times. I had a hot take last week on our show that I think it would have been a little bit more interesting of a show to come out, have that parallels out the gate between Vader and Obi-Wan. That's from the beginning to where they are now, with one big clash at the end. That said, while that's not the show we have, I'm still really much so enjoying this ride. I really like Reva as a character. I want to see more. If there is that Inquisitor show does end up happening, I'd love to see her as a main character, wherever she's at in the universe. If she lives throughout this, if she's gonna infiltrate the Inquisitor forces, I don't know, but I really dig what she's about. And what separates her, I mean, obviously, I think most of the Jedi we see past, obviously, Grogu and Kanan, holding on to whatever's left of that Jedi Order. And there's this I don't know, it's almost like living in nostalgia 24/7, where they're just kind of sad or bummed out about it. Or when Grogu thinks about it, it's just this state of depression.
Fear.
It's really hard. Yeah, it's really hard to like just to reflect back on that. Whereas when she reflects back, anything involving that, she uses that pain to give her strength. And obviously it's tapping into the dark side to do that. But I don't know, that's something that, I mean, she's using the exact same memories, but to fuel a completely different emotion, to fuel a different part of her strength. And so, I don't know, I think she's an interesting character for that reason. Glad she's not dead. I want to see what happens in the next episode. I'm glad that the writers did not go the way of where many Star Wars fanboys were on YouTube the last few weeks saying, she should have been killed off episode 4. She should have been killed off episode 5. I'm glad she's still alive. I want to see a lot more because she's definitely a super interesting character.
Xcore, I know Amanda was talking, and I know you were chomping at the bit.
Oh, I literally agree with basically everything she said. More or less. Like the difference between Reva and everyone else is like she literally watched it happen. She saw basically one of the two greatest generals in the Clone Wars turn on the Order. Like that's the difference. Like all the rest of them saw the clones attack the Jedi. Every single other person who survived Order 66, that's what they saw. But Reva saw one of her own storm the temple.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. So when everyone else looks back on the Jedi Order, they can see the teachings of the Jedi Order and they can remember that part of it. Reva just sees the failure. And it's the same thing that Obi-Wan has been going through these past 10 years. Mm-hmm. Whenever Obi-Wan looks at the past, all he can see is his failure.
Yeah.
And when she asks, "Where were you?" he thought he was ending the war.
Yeah.
Like and that, like, you get his reaction. It's like, "Where were you?" It's like, I thought this was it. Like,
yeah, you know? I was taking out Grievous. Like, I thought this was me ending the war.
Yeah, this was it. This was the end of the war. And then he he comes back and the temple's on fire, and it's like, what happened?
Yeah, really. Kir, your thoughts? I know you're about ready. I know you're about ready to cry, but
I am. Pregnancy hormones. Yeah. Oh my god. Guys, I cry at everything, especially Star Wars. But I mean, honestly, people nailed it on the head. I hadn't thought about. Everybody brought up some really good points, and I think I'm personally loving the fact that we're seeing a lot of gray. You know, we have like Sith and Jedi, right? But we have Reva, who has a red kyber crystal. We have Reva, who's been working for the Inquisitors, has killed who knows how many people just to get to Vader because it's not so clear cut, right? Yeah. It's not so like, well, this is the light side and this is the dark side. And you can be somewhere in the middle, and there can be this like complicated, interesting aspect to the Force and to how people use it, rather than just, I think, how maybe the first generation of Star Wars fans view it as, or, you know, my mom was like, is she Sith? I don't know. And I'm like, no, but that's okay. They don't have to be, right? It can be this like in-between place where there's all sorts of opportunities for perspectives and stories. And yeah, I love Reva. I want to know more, but I also want to know more about other people like her. And I feel like Star Wars is moving in that direction. And I want to find out more about that. Not just the Bendu in the middle, but like other people who are Force users. And I think, you know, we're going to get more of that. I'm excited that we're seeing it in something so like iconic as like Kenobi. I was concerned at first that they'd, you know, were afraid of like the fandom menace or whatever. And like, we have to stick to these well-known Darth Vader, Obi-Wan, because you're dealing with these huge characters, right? It's a big sandbox. So anyway, I'm rambling, but I'm very excited with the direction that it's going and the direction they've taken Reva and how we're going to see that play out in stories to come.
Hereth, I know you did this. I know you wanted to say something.
So I would say on the topic for Reva's like character alignment, I would say she's unaligned, but she's definitely dark side. Like, as much as her goal is noble, it's still revenge. Like the Grand Inquisitor says at the end of the episode, revenge does for the will who wants to live. Like, we know her like quest is still revenge. I feel like next episode she's gonna try to kill Luke as like Obi-Wan, why did you just leave me here to die with Vader? Like, I thought we were doing this together. So I think that's kind of like her path here. It's like, I don't think she's going towards redemption. I think she's full into the dark side.
No, yeah. Charlie?
Well, I called this out when we were doing our reaction to the episode with the posters for the Grand Inquisitor, the Fifth Brother, Obi-Wan, and Reva. The Grand Inquisitor and Fifth Brother have their eyes on Kenobi. Obi-Wan has his eyes on Vader. Reva has her eyes on Vader. So that was the one clear indicator that foreshadowed that she was trying to go after Vader. But we were kind of second guessing that for a little bit. But it was certain that she is, knowing that she was that youngling that we saw in the very first episode. Yeah. So I love that her character is so much more than just the typical Inquisitor. Because the Inquisitor just like, hunt the Jedi, do this, and just listen to Vader. That's it. Reva is just changing what... She's a different Inquisitor. She follows a different path. She wants to get revenge, but revenge in kind of a very dark, but a good way, in a sense. She's trying to get revenge for Anakin for murdering her friends.
Yeah.
And it's been 10 years since that happened. So she's been sitting in the shadows planning this for a long time. But it ended up with Vader knowing all along that she was hiding. She obviously was faking. She was playing dead in the temple.
Yes.
And the scene where Vader's like, "Did you think that I did not notice it, youngling?" Oh. It was like, that was such a powerful scene. And Vader was aware of what Reva was wanting to do for the longest time. And I find it so funny at the end of the episode, we just see the Grand Inquisitor just walk out. Like he was just in a closet this whole time. Just like, oh, she did this, Vader. All right, cue you going and taking her down and making her seem like she's important, and then, lure out what her plan is. And I think Reva, as of chapter 5, is an amazing character.
Yeah. No, she's just an amazing character altogether.
And I never second guessed it.
No, yeah. Now we're gonna get into kind of.
I'm gonna do
Well,
it.
go, Nidra, go, Nidra.
It's a jumping
Go,
down at
go,
this
go,
one.
Nidra, go.
Come on, bestie. All
He's
right.
just like, let me
Got
say
you.
my piece.
Got you. Go
Because
ahead, pop off.
something I didn't hear mentioned is the fact that when she witnesses this, she's a literal child.
Yes.
So she's perceiving all of this as a child, and a child's understanding of that is adults are here to help. Adults are here to protect us, especially the adults that I know and trust. So when she saw Anakin come there, she was like, oh, we're saved. And when she saw he was doing what he was doing, the guy who's his like teacher, his master, was nowhere to be found. So like that's like it's sort of like escalating a situation up. Like tell your teacher, okay, if your teacher isn't here, you tell your school counselor, tell your principal or whatever. And that wasn't an option for her.
No.
So the way that an 8 to 12-year-old kid is processing that is, all of you abandoned me. All of you weren't there for me. And there's not a whole lot of difference between Anakin and Obi-Wan in her eyes for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Also, bear in mind, she is like at the oldest 22 or something.
Yes.
And so like that's like a big part of the way that like her decision making works. She's still also, they say trauma tends to halt your like emotional evolution and all that sort of stuff, especially when you're growing up in a vacuum, like being trained to be an inquisitor, trained to hunt people like you. So she is her childishness, her immaturity is the direct result of those events, which is why I thought it was wild that I kept hearing how childish she was. It is just more validation of her acting choices, because that's exactly who she's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's exactly who she's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And if you think about her interaction with Leia and how Leia seemed like a kid who was playing older, and it felt like she was talking too adult to a child.
Yes.
She was just operating on the same base level. You know, like even when she was trying to appeal to her psyche, she didn't see much of a difference. Like, you know, and then the fact that she keeps saying an old man and a child. When she was a child, she wasn't worth saving to someone. She wasn't worth protecting. They found her in the gutters, as Homeboy said. So, like, she didn't think that anyone would care enough to protect a child. And a lot of her venom that she has towards Leia is probably due to the fact that she's like, why is Obi-Wan working so hard to protect her when he couldn't do that for me?
Yes.
So about her that
And
wasn't
also,
there.
Yeah, and like to that point too, Obi-Wan also sent out that distress call saying to everyone like, hey, don't come back to the Jedi Temple.
Yeah.
Furthering that, hey, there was no help, and anyone that would have come to help her wasn't. Obi-Wan was the one to send out that message. So just piggybacking off the top of that point, yeah, it's didn't do a whole lot for her.
So it's just sort of like when you think about it like that and you see how far he's going to protect Leia, the fact that she was like, no one is coming for you. She wasn't saying that to manipulate her. She was saying that because she dead ass believed that, even though she knew Obi-Wan was alive. She legitimately believed he wasn't going to come to rescue her because no one came to rescue her.
Yeah, and that's just that like the way Brody piggybacked off of that to make it make sense canon wise, and in how much like it does suck that Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan did that out of good faith because he was like, I thought I was doing something right, and in that moment he was probably thinking, wow. I mean, what I thought I was doing right, it had a negative effect on this one character, on this one person, and I think that will affect him for a while going throughout until he's even Alec Guinness.
I would even argue that he feels that way about Anakin, right? Like,
Yes.
there's lots of parallels of Obi-Wan thinking he did the right thing. He left Anakin to die in Mustafar. I am what you made me. Like, there's a lot of parallels here.
No, yeah, absolutely. And then talking about parallels, what similarities? We're gonna talk about Tala's death. Tala's death, like Rogue One, I would have loved to see her make it through this, and then also make it through Andor, because I think she would have been a pretty significant person to help the rebellion. Especially with everything that she was doing in this show and being undercover. But here's a parallel. What similarities are shown between Tala's death and Obi-Wan's death in A New Hope? What common threads are between them?
I mean, aside from the fact that it's sacrifice for the greater good,
Yes.
and it's a deliberate choice. There's the moment of looking on, saying like, I see that you've got it from here. I'm going to do what needs to be done.
Yes.
Yeah. I just sort of think that, like, not that I'm more sad about Ned, but like, I just,
No, I hear you. I hear you.
it is just
No, keep that up there. Keep that up. Keep it up there. I mean, seriously though, like, come on.
But yeah, no, like, yeah, our boy did what needed to be done, as droids consistently do, especially when they align themselves with one side or another. And yeah, it's just frustrating because there's just so little thought put into the fact that, like, these beings are all 100%, even the battle droids pass our galaxy's version of Turing tests. They are sentient by our galaxy's definition of that, or our planet's definition of that. So, like, it's always really hard when droids are the only people, as much as we like to pretend, or we don't anymore, but like, as much as the Jedi like to think they're acting selflessly and they're doing truly selfless things, the only people sincerely acting selflessly in Star Wars have been the droids, aside from some that have reached what I just comfortably call hypersentience, like R2 and like L337.
What about Chopper?
And
K2SO.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of mainly on that scene.
Yeah, same. And yeah, Chop too. Well, we can put Chops in that category.
I mean,
They're all acting from like self-preservation, and while also allegiance, while still having that droid loyalty that's there to the people that they're aligned with, but at the end of the day, they're acting in self-preservation because they know that the Empire isn't going to take care of them on the same degree that, like, they could have a human compatriot that actually cares about them. So anyway, sorry, that's a tangent. But it was the sort of like true selflessness of Tala's actions. Her seeing what Ned gave and her being like, yo, I got to do the same at this point.
Here's another question for anybody that wants to answer it. Do you think Obi-Wan, at that moment when he dies in A New Hope, had that thought of this is what Tala did? And it's kind of like that he's not necessarily mostly thinking about that, because we already know what he's already thinking about from a certain point of view, kind of gives us everything that he is thinking about. But do you think that is there a part of Obi-Wan that might have looked back on that and thought?
No, because I think that he didn't learn how to sacrifice from Tala. I think he learned what sacrifice was on his own, and their deaths are very similar in a way, as it gives them hope and it pushes forward the story.
Mm-hmm.
And Tala's sacrifice was amazing. It was sad, and with her shooting the door, shooting the panel, closing it as Obi-Wan's face like slowly just disappears, she ignites the thermal detonator, and it just diverts the forces back, and it allows them to escape. And it was just like how Obi-Wan was. It was like he sacrificed himself and allowed Luke, Han, Leia, and Chewie to escape. But what Obi-Wan did was he looked over and he saw that for the first time in his life, he sees Luke and Leia together for the first time.
Know that too.
Yeah, and he sees like, my mission's complete. They're of age. They are ready to take control of this mission. My job is done.
Yeah.
Holds it up.
Yeah.
So it's like their sacrifice had like the same purpose, but they both had very, very different meanings.
Okay.
I don't think Obi-Wan ever planned on getting off the Death Star.
Oh no.
Like as soon as he saw it, he had no plans of leaving that space station.
Well, I would also argue that Tala also knew that if it came down to it, she would sacrifice herself at the end of the day.
Right, but I think going in, as soon as Vader saw the Death Star and said that's no moon, he had no intention of leaving it. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was like, this is it.
Yeah.
He-
Brody. Oh no, go ahead, Xcore. Finish your thought.
Because this is again, he's at this point he's old. Like you can see it. He's old in his bones. Like the way he sits down in his hut. You know, he the way he leans against the table when he's training Luke. He's having a hard time holding on to everything. And so he knows as soon as he sees the Death Star, he knows what it is. He knows Vader's there. He knows he's not getting off.
And also, Qui-Gon did tell him that the end was coming. He didn't know how. He didn't know when. But he just knew. And I find that the way Claudia Gray wrote that story is so freaking good. So good.
It was the Master and Apprentice before Master and Apprentice.
Yeah. Brody.
Yeah, I don't think he was, thinking about Tala in any way in that moment. Again, maybe he could have thought of every sacrifice that meant something to him in that moment and gleaned some inspiration to muster up the courage. I don't know, but I don't think so. I think, but going back to that scene and thinking about Tala's sacrifice, I don't know if anyone else was getting this. Maybe it was just me, but I was getting some like very serious Rogue One vibes.
Yeah.
I don't know how the score was done, the way it was filmed, coming down that hallway. It just seemed like, all right, all hope is lost unless someone gives up their life for the greater good. Yeah, it was pretty moving, and definitely took me back to watching Rogue One in that time. So that's what I was thinking of when I saw that scene.
No, yeah. Yeah, and then, I mean, ultimately, so then we get Obi-Wan getting captured. How is Obi-Wan's capture reminiscent of something that he would have done during the Clone Wars, specifically the Clone Wars movie when he openly surrenders and starts negotiating? It's different, but it is kind of similar. Why do you think Obi-Wan falls on negotiation before fighting?
Because he's a Jedi. That's what they're supposed to do.
You're not wrong. Obi-Wan's
and he says it to Anakin in the flashback, something along the lines of like,
Your aggression,
this is the aggression is a last resort. You're not. We don't fight to end lives. We fight to save them.
Yes.
Like.
Yeah, but also, you can't say he's just simply the negotiator as the answer, as he chooses negotiation over fighting.
But like that's what they're supposed to do. And his master was freaking Qui-Gon Jinn, who was a great duelist in his own right. But like, that was the last choice. That was always supposed to be the last choice for a Jedi.
I was gonna say I wouldn't say it's negotiation. I think it plays in what Obi-Wan was talking to Reva about. He knew that Reva was so dead set on killing Vader, like how Anakin was so dead set on killing Obi-Wan, that he could just turn those two against each other. It was an easy move because he was like, I wouldn't say it's negotiation. It was Obi-Wan outspeaking both of his enemies.
Yeah, it seemed like that manipulation. Like, all right, the Sith's greatest weakness and their passion. It's where they derive all their strength from. If she's so focused on me, I'm going to play into that, manipulate her to get exactly what we need, which is the hell off this planet.
Yeah.
And that's what it seemed like was going on there, more than just negotiating.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nedra.
Oh, I was just saying I'm back. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. No, you're fine. No, you're fine. No, but I feel like that rolls right into the next question. So we see Reva talking to both Obi-Wan and obviously Vader throughout this whole episode. But they are both playing the game of chess. And she is both of their pawn. She's the pawn for both of them. They are able to manipulate her in such a way because it's like Obi-Wan sees a lot of Anakin in her, and he knows what she wants, and he is willing to help to get that so that she can get what she wants, and he can get the hell off the planet. But Vader doesn't necessarily catch on to that until it's too damn late. And it's so interesting to see that play out. How was Reva used as a pawn for both Obi-Wan and Vader?
There's a difference there. Obi-Wan's doing what he's doing for the right reasons, and he goes so far as to tell you, he's like, look, I know what's going on, but it's not going to end well. You know that. Like he's not using her as a tool the same way that Vader is.
No,
really.
It's just I think he knows how to pull those strings, but he's not doing it maliciously. He's trying to help in a way, but he's also like, I got to get the fuck out of here.
I mean, he also gave her a chance. He's like, listen, just walk the fuck away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like, and she cut the door down. It's like, okay, well, this is what we're doing, I guess.
Well, like, follow-up kind of question to that is, how do you think Reva interprets that for being used as a pawn from both sides? Because, like, the audience, we're all like, well, we don't blame Obi-Wan. That's the only thing he had to do. But from Reva's point of view, I feel like it's different.
Oh yeah. No, she's yeah. It's not gonna end well.
No, yeah. Anybody else got anything to add on that?
Just Obi-Wan's pure brilliance.
Oh yeah. But so we're getting close to the end of the episode.
Okay, I was just waiting for everyone else to go. If no one else,
okay, go, Nedra.
So I've been saying that this is the trolley problem, the series, and the trolley problem is the thought experiment where you have a single person on one track, and you could, or a single person on a railroad track, and you could like hit the person and save everyone on board the train, or you could divert the train and crash. And at first thoughts, like, oh, obviously it's like the easiest decision. You hit the person and save the mini, but then like you can start adding all of these conditions that start to make it real muddy. And so like when you're thinking about Luke and Leia in the grand scheme of things, it is Obi-Wan is operating completely under that same notion. My job is to protect the boy. I've put Leia with Bail Organa and them. And so he's like, she's safe. I just have to watch this boy and make sure he's fine. And then Leia ends up falling into his lap as a problem also. And so he's doing, at the end of the day, what is going to protect her. That's his end game. So even when he's considering the fact that he has the chance to do right by Reva, at the end of the day, he has to remember that the fate of the galaxy lies in the hands of Luke Skywalker. Like, Luke is the one to save. Once I get Leia back to her safe place, I have to be there on Tatooine. Mm-hmm. And so, like, ultimately what ends up happening is you constantly keep seeing these casualties to this narrative. And Reva, yet again, is a casualty to this chosen one prophecy. Like, yet again, the serving of this prophecy, which, like, even Mace Windu was like, dog, what are we doing? Like, once again, Reva is taking an L at the expense of that. And I think that's, like, the saddest part of that is just, like, knowing that that probably really hurt her. Hey, DePaul. Knowing that that probably really hurt her. But at the same time, I think she maybe got a lesson in knowing, like, Vader saw an opportunity in not killing her because he knew that because of her past trauma, he could point at Obi-Wan and be like, see, he left you, like, left you. But I could have just Dooku'd you right quick because I had 2 sabers, but I didn't. So do you want to serve me or do you want to serve this order that has abandoned you many times? If I were Reva personally, I can't fully think it out, but what I would do is go to Tatooine and train with Obi-Wan. I would train with Obi-Wan just completely so I could get stronger and we could try this again. That's probably not what's going to happen.
No. And Obi-Wan also remembers the mission with Quinlan Voss. That ain't happening.
Oh yes, Dark Disciple.
That just
whole
ain't
book.
happening.
Love that freaking book. Kir.
Oh my God, such a good book.
Yeah. Did I miss something? What?
Oh, I thought you. Well, you were unmuted, so I thought you were gonna say something. Oh no.
We lost her.
Oh no. Oh no, she was just on the.
I'm here. What
Okay,
happened?
you are okay. You're
was
still kind of
weird.
frozen for us. You're good. We got you.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay. I'm here. Yes. So everyone's mentioned everything. I was, I think, in my own galaxy far, far away because I was thinking about this video. Nedra was talking about how he had the dual lightsabers, and I agree. Vader left her alive for a reason. I also think that whole dramatic, it was classic Anakin quick. Like, yeah, like, you know, the whole like I'm here and then the quiz. I keep calling him Quizzy. Grand Inquisitor comes in.
Quizzy.
Like,
Kells,
it was so dramatic for Anakin. Like, yeah. But something that I thought was really interesting, I don't know if you guys know Jedi Connor on TikTok, but he pointed out, I think Nedra will like this, when he broke the sabers. And yeah, he was in the Ahsoka position. That whole I don't know if I'm making sense at all.
No, you are.
What I'm trying to say is that there were just so many like parallels and so many callbacks and so many moments that were just. I just love Star Wars. I can't say it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I
understand.
I wasn't even touching that part of it too. Like that was a lesson that he was teaching her, and you could just tell he was back in his like master.
Exactly.
Oh, he was in his pocket in that moment where he knew, like, yeah, he.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely understand you, Kir. Like, there's not enough words to explain how much we love this franchise. So,
and like I said in Kir's video about it, that was the most Anakin thing he's ever done.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
for sure,
absolutely. The way he just like to talk about that fight, like I feel like I think Hereth said it on Duel of the Ranks last night. Like it's one of the best choreographed like saber fights out there. Like in the way that. Like, you can just see Vader's power from him taking down the ship and then him just bossing up Reva and not even igniting his own lightsaber is just how much he is just, like, not going to... He's like, you are not worth me grabbing my own weapon out.
Okay, I am going to say, here's why if I were Reva, why I would go and train with Obi-Wan.
Okay.
Because we consistently see that she is stunted as a combat person. Like she can only do so much, right? Like she's not anywhere near the level of some like truly great Jedi because they were trained by Jedi.
Yes.
I don't think Darth Vader was in there teaching them how to do their stuff.
Oh hell no, he was just wrecking them.
Right. And I feel like that's by design. Like it's a feature, not a bug, right?
Yes.
And so like if you truly want to one day kill this fucking guy and like get your revenge, you cannot do it with the things that people who learned however in that space with the malicious intent that exists in that space. You can't do that with that. But if you have someone who trained the guy you're trying to take out, who also has this similar motivations, you can tuck your tail between your legs and go to Tatooine and go, okay, we have a common enemy. Here's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what I would do personally.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go back to Vader.
No, I think going back to Vader would be a very poor decision. Brody, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the one big thing that stuck out to me with everything we've been saying is that taking that Ahsoka stance. I would think I brought that up last night too. Again, Ahsoka's my favorite Star Wars character. This last few minutes, I'm like, oh wait, that reminds me of Rogue One. Oh wait, that's Ahsoka's stance. Oh my gosh, it's like there's so many callbacks in that last few minutes that it's the exact same thing as the beginning of the episode. You're freaking out, just like almost screaming, excited because again, it's like the Attack of the Clones, and then there's these callbacks to Clone Wars, and there's these callbacks to Rogue One. It was a beautiful, beautiful end sequence. I don't even remember what the original question was.
No, it's all
as far
good.
as Reva being used or whatever, but no, again, if she has any sort of next steps, my initial thought was, yeah, she's going to go try to kidnap Luke or something on Tatooine. But I love that other storyline of saying, hey, maybe she's like, you know what? I need some training because clearly there's a ceiling here and I've hit it and I'm not getting any higher. So that would be cool. That would be cool to see if she was able to have that internal discovery and moving forward, going into that for next steps. I think that would be really cool for Reva's character because again, I'd like to see her with a little bit more skill with the lightsaber, a little bit stronger of a Force user. Because Obi-Wan, I mean, it's been a minute since he's been in his pocket, and those doors open, and he's able to just do like just a pretty quick Force push on her, and she goes back like 25 feet or something. So, and she's practicing every day. She's cutting down people every day. You know, she's always in her bag, and she's still not on his level. So I would love to see what a little bit of time with Obi-Wan Kenobi could do for her game.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Infinitely blowing my mind how these people who claim to love Star Wars cannot just sit with it long enough and think I said this on the other thing I did, like people just deciding that because from episode 1 it doesn't look exactly like their headcanon, that they pulled some guy off the street from like Teen Beach Movie or something that like you know that like to direct it. No shade to whoever directed that movie. Oh my god, just like someone just caught a stray. Someone just caught the wildest stray. I am so sorry, but like you know, like there's just this refusal to engage with the fact that like the Star Wars canon lore at this point is larger than like you could have imagined when you were like 15, you know, or like 8 or like whenever you found it, like, you know, and like it's just kind of really hard for me to think about how people are just dead ass robbing themselves of this better than drugs I've heard of experiencing Obi-Wan Kenobi in your bedroom or wherever your TV is every bye.
Experiencing Obi-Wan Kenobi in your bedroom.
That's a good show.
Xcore, go.
I just want to say, Nedra brought this up, and it's freaking perfect. So it's always like, so let's all agree that like Star Wars, especially when we get into the Skywalker saga, is camp. It's this ridiculous, silly, awesome story, right? It's not this high art form that people think it is. But then we get a show like this that is beautifully done, perfectly paced. It impels you or compels you to think about what's really going on and how it all fits together. We get a show that is taking Star Wars and elevating it to that space they claim to think it's already there, and they hate it. It's just like...
It's the purest form of absurdity.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to end. I thought this was going to be a 2-hour episode, but like I think we've talked about as much as we can about this episode, unless anybody has anything to add.
But I mean, just to the closing question I would have to say is, what do you think's going to happen in the finale? What do you think Reva's going to do? What do you think about Obi-Wan and Vader? What do you think? Who do you think's going to show up? Do you think what's going to happen on Tatooine? What's going to happen?
If Qui-Gon doesn't show up, I will riot.
Qui-Gon, no.
Kir.
Hold on. Qui-Gon is showing up. I can't guarantee you that it is in Force Ghost.
That's fine.
But you
I'll
will-
take a
you will-
voiceover. I don't
you will-
fucking care.
There's more.
I just
Yeah.
need something.
You will
He showed
hear
up- He showed up in Atlanta. That's all I needed.
He's in Tales of the Jedi. He's gonna be in Kenobi.
Oh yeah, Tales of Jedi
Yeah, right?
is
Like,
great. Yeah, but I think you're gonna get Qui-Gon. So we got concept art way back, and also it was Deborah Chow's birthday today or yesterday?
I think it was
yesterday.
That was yesterday.
Yesterday. Well, happy belated birthday from the Pod Ones podcast. I know she's watching. Anyway,
No, the director for
love you,
Teen
Deborah.
Beach Movie definitely is watching.
he should be.
He's just like I'm showing you service
me
in
to
the
that
Force.
show.
Nedra, he needs to be watching. He needs to be watching, because if he did, he'd learn something. Anyway. So we we got concept art early on in that one thing that we got damn it, Ven. Now you got me thinking about that scene, which will be awesome. Okay, Reva making it through that I could see. I mean, everybody's been talking about her going in training with, yeah, Obi-Wan. Yeah. Hey, this is why I love when Nedra comes on, because it's complete chaos, but it's necessary chaos. And
We need this chaos.
so I think, well, obviously we're gonna get Owen in Baru, obviously, but
Definitely.
I think we're going to get Vader and Obi-Wan on Mustafar.
Because of are you saying that because of the
Concept art that we got in
The lava
November.
background.
Lava background.
Imagine
And
if it is a
Yep.
Mustafar
And-
again. That would
and
be surreal.
Let me tell you, poetry. Star Wars is like poetry. It fucking rhymes.
Like
Every
the F-bomb
single
wasn't
time.
necessary, but we understand.
like I said on my video I released like right as the podcast started. Anakin's just petty. He's gonna be like, all right,
Yeah.
Obi-Wan, we're going back to Mustafar. I'm gonna beat you here this time.
Round 2.
Round 2, we're running it back.
Round 2, fight.
Do
Yeah.
we know it's Mustafar? It just looked like lava to me. And
Uh,
And that was served
Whoa,
in episode 2 or 3.
Well, Luke,
Yeah.
wait, I'm forgetting. When does Vader Immortal take place in the canon timeline?
Near Rogue One. It's
Yeah,
like a year
near
before
yeah,
Rogue
Okay,
One.
near you Rogue
So
One.
Mustafar still has lava.
Oh
Okay.
yes, yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's all it doesn't stop having lava until after Vader Immortal. And
Yeah,
even
that's why I
then
asked.
it takes up until the sequel trilogy and the Rise of Skywalker to even have shrubs or trees, you know. And it's not it takes forever for that planet to like recover. You know what I mean? But I what I want is for him to take off the helmet and just show Obi-Wan.
But
Just
you already
show
got
it.
that moment in episode
I
3.
got the moment a little bit. If I get that, I will cease to fucking exist.
I just feel like you're not, because also, yeah, no, you're not gonna like the taking off of the helmet moment was
Yeah.
so powerful in A New Hope for a reason, and I don't think they're gonna do that.
Oh, you mean Return of the Jedi?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There you go.
Okay.
That would be the one original trilogy movie that was just like 8 hours long. But no, like, yeah, I feel like that is one thing that I feel like if they have that be a thing that happens, it's sort of like
Also, yeah, he can't breathe without the helmet, right?
But he can.
What?
Here we
He
go.
can. He can. He can.
Luke.
He's got the Force.
Kenny,
he can-
Vader
he-
Immortal is canon.
Well,
Yes.
yeah,
It is canon.
yeah, it is canon. No,
But I
but you
think
can't.
I meant more from like an emotional standpoint or an
Yes.
impactful standpoint. Like, yeah, that's why it was so big when he took it off for Luke, because it was him doing something that Luke didn't clock would absolutely kill him.
Everyone in
You
the chat
know?
spam X.
Yep. I agree with this one.
All right, whatever. If it happens, y'all can just send
I
that
just don't
cash over
get
to
it,
me.
Luke. Like, I get like earlier in the show, like you already got that moment.
I
Yeah.
did.
Why
I
go
got-
back? Why go back?
I got the moment.
You're just like, I want more.
I
know I shouldn't.
Exactly. That's exactly me right now.
Yeah. No, I don't think
I've been really ever since I got that moment, I've been pretty much just like, whatever, that's fine.
You're like, no, I need it again.
Well,
I want it back
I do
again.
now. I do now because I'm selfish. But I mean, anything like this lightsaber battle is just gonna be.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
It's
golden.
nuts.
It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be nuts.
Also, what if they gave us like No Country for Old Men, where we didn't get a lightsaber battle because we already got the lightsaber battle?
Yeah. Yeah. I it could
Last
work.
Jedi, everyone subvert the expectations.
Yeah.
But they already promised it to us.
No, they didn't.
They promised us the rematch.
Yeah, the rematch of the century. That was an episode.
And
3.
That was the rematch of
Yeah.
the century.
You're
Yeah.
right.
But, like, I would agree with you if they didn't promise it to us. That's
But
all
they-
I'm
I
saying.
know, and then they delivered it. Like, you know,
Chris.
or also, please also bear in mind, they didn't say who was the rematch of the century. So bold of you guys to assume it's Vader and Obi-Wan. It could very easily be Reva after training with Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get on board, bitches.
I am here for this.
And Chris. So Chris, we're doubting Luke on
all right.
his theory
we don't
on
need
Vader
to.
taking off his
Yeah,
helmet.
whatever.
Yeah,
All right,
I
I'm
don't know.
wrong.
I
I'm
need
wrong.
this
But let's
energy
get everybody
this
else.
entire show.
Let's get everybody's thoughts, and we'll move on.
Well, Luke, I mean, I guess I understand you taking the helmet off can be like that emotional aspect might happen, you know, where he like emotionally reveals himself to Vader and it's more than just like a lightsaber battle. That I could get on board with, but the actual physical helmet, I don't know.
We'll,
Right.
we'll see.
What if
I'm
the
sure
rematch of
you're
the century? What if the rematch of the century is Darth Maul showing up?
Fuck you! Shut up, Nedra.
Imagine.
You have gone too
Imagine.
far this time. Stop it! Stop it! No.
Like, yeah, dead ass. There's something else happening, and we just hear.
And he just runs at like Obi-Wan on Mustafar.
Just getting louder.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, I'll start with Brody. Brody, where can the good people follow you, and what do you want to see from the finale?
Well, yeah, if you want to follow me, check out Duel the Ranks, dueltheranks.com, at Duel the Ranks at Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff. Instagram, where our team will put out a lot of good content there. What I would love to see out of the finale, Ahsoka Tano. In some way, if she made any appearance whatsoever, I don't care if it's a flashback, I don't care if she was incorporated in the most minor way, that'd be huge. Just connecting the prequel characters with a character that was made afterwards. And again, Dave Filoni's beloved project. Would love to see those three on screen in some capacity before the series is done.
Xcore?
So you can find me at XcoreGamerskillz everywhere, primarily TikTok. I also have a podcast that is on hiatus right now that you can find on YouTube at Conspiracy Cantina. I have wait.
It's just a robot chicken sketch.
So,
Somebody make that, please.
there's a couple things for the end of I don't know how they're going to wrap this show up in one more episode. I don't know how. So Star Wars lawyer, our friend Chris says we still need an explanation for the Obi-Wan once thought.
Yes,
says
that's
to
another thing.
And so also I've been saying since before this show was even announced, we need an explanation when Obi-Wan says, or when Vader says to Obi-Wan, "You should not have come back," and for why Obi-Wan immediately knew that the Death Star wasn't a moon. I have said since before the show started, and you can go find my TikToks, that the rematch of the century was going to take place on the Death Star before it's complete.
That's a stretch, but I will. You can.
It's not going to happen. I don't
if
think
I
it's
can-
happening now.
If
but
I can't have my emotional scene, you can't have your Death Star scene, Xcore.
Wasn't
I can't have
that
my emotional scene. You
Wait,
can't
wasn't
have the
that
scene that ties everything back into
built?
canon.
Go ahead, Nedra.
Wasn't that built on like Geonosis or like whatever the?
It jumped from place to place. It started construction in Geonosis shortly after the Clone Wars. You're true. Good point, Camilla. Good point. Oh, we've gotten to the point in this show where everybody in the chat starts roasting everybody on the show. I love it. But Kir.
Yeah. I'm Kir. I'm on TikTok and Instagram at Mandaklorian, which is down here. And what I want from the finale, other than Qui-Gon something, is I really want like emotional. Well, what am I trying to say? I think Star Wars is the best Star Wars when it goes into multiple levels. Yes, I would love a lightsaber scene. Yes, I would love cameos. But I really want the emotional resonance that I think this show is driving at, is building on. And I think the more we get of that, the more of an impact it will have on future canon and past lore. So I'm really fascinated how they're going to wrap this up in one episode. But I think the more like depth we have, the better it's going to be. And I fully expect Deborah Chow and the whole team to deliver it.
Exactly.
I just don't know exactly what it's going to look like.
And for our all-star, the one with the tangents, the one and only Nedra, where can the good people follow you, and what do you want to see from the final episode?
Hi, I'm your tangerine dream, I guess.
So the next time you come on the show, we're referring to as the Tangerine Dream. So
Absolutely, I'll deliver. My expectations for the finale is I don't know if it's canon yet that the finale is actually like a feature-length film.
It's an hour from what, like, because like there's like the final episode's like an hour and 20, but there's like a 20-minute Q&A in the theater releasing, so I assume it's gonna be like an hour, around that kind of ballpark.
Okay, so it's canon now. It's official.
I feel like it's like an hour to 15-minute episode.
So it's official though. Like it's gonna be that long.
Yeah, because if you do the math of the theater showing, it's an
I
hour
can't
and
do
30
math now.
plus 20 to 30-minute Q&A.
Neither can I.
Yeah,
It's an hour. Hour and
okay.
change.
Cool.
Okay. Well, then in that case, I'm tempering my expectations dependent solely on that,
Yes.
right? Because
Yeah.
there's only so much you can do in 30 to 40 minutes versus an hour and 20 minutes. And so I'm never married to anything I say. I'm never married to a theory. I am all about killing my darlings and killing them gruesomely. But like I feel like if Reva has a sliver of like good sense, she'd go train with Kenobi. And the rematch of the century is her and Vader fighting for their freaking lives with Kenobi helping to the best of his ability while doing something else, protecting. So I don't know whatever's going on. But like, I don't think the rematch of the century is the rematch that we see again in A New Hope. You know, like I just don't see how that reconciles. It feels a little like a red herring. It feels a little bit like a middle finger to the people who want to devalue Reva as a character and also devalue the impact that Vader has had on her and the impact that Obi-Wan not helping her has had on him. And that might be how we get Qui-Gon. That might be the connection that brings him to do what's right. I don't know. I'm not married to this idea. I got my cities, my Darth cities going. So like the shows that I'm not like completely committed to this idea, but I think that all I want is a rock solid story. I just want good moments. I feel like everything we've been given is serving a story. And before I knew Deborah Chow directed my favorite episode of Mr. Robot, which is Brave Traveler, which is episode 6 from season 1 of Mr. Robot, I knew that I could trust her because of the way she absolutely didn't care about servicing this loud cluster of fans that have kind of driven the way that Star Wars has been perceived online. Yeah. She's not serving them. She's serving the story. She's serving the art. Yeah. And she's serving what's best for the story. Because once you start doing stuff that exists in a universe as big as Star Wars, it's really fucking hard to do fan service.
No, yeah, absolutely. And where can we find you?
Oh, sorry. Nedralovescosplay everywhere except Twitter. I'm Nedralovesjedi. Sorry. Wow. Ask me what my name is, and that's what you get.
Hereth.
You can find me at Hereth Productions on TikTok and every Thursday and Friday on here at Pod Ones.
And predictions?
Oh, I already said it. Go watch my TikTok.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. Big swinging over here. Char. Where can the good people follow you on the social medias?
Good people, you can find me on TikTok at CharCharJ, as spelled right here, and you can find me here every Thursday night as we cover our Clone Wars rewatch. Next week we'll be covering the Maul on Mandalore arc.
Yes. Big 5-0.
As long as we're not finding Char in the kitchen, I think we're okay.
No, we're not starting this again. We're not starting this again.
Run it back.
Yes. Gotta love it.
Okay, literally, this is me after hearing that comment. I was waiting to use that, but you can also find me on Fridays with our Kenobi rewatch. We'll be covering the season finale next week with a whole bunch of people, and we are excited to see what we'll be getting. And my predictions for the finale is we'll hear Qui-Gon. Yeah. We don't need to see Qui-Gon, but we will hear him. We have to. I just feel like that this show would just be it's amazing, but I feel like it would sell it short if there was no Qui-Gon. Especially like with Tales of the Jedi, with Liam Neeson being brought back into Star Wars. I feel like that it's inevitable. And I think that Obi-Wan is going to, I don't think because Reva is, because she hears the transmission and she hears Bail talk about Owen and what happened with the events of the first episode. So Reva's going to go to Tatooine, back to the homestead, and understand that since Bail Organa was talking, Bail is the father of Leia, the daughter that Obi-Wan was with. So since Bail knows about the boy, that means that they're related. So I don't know what Reva's going to do, but she's going to do something. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but something's going to go down on Tatooine, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. Y'all can check out. Oh Jesus. All right. Good thing this is about where the time where we
I think that's Legends. I can't really confirm it. You know, I met him in person. You never know.
You can find me at the Pod Ones Podcast on TikTok, the Pod Ones Pod on Instagram, and at Pod Ones Podcast on Twitter. Next week we will be doing a live reaction with Dyad in the Force. We will be on with Nerdy Hands. We've got Nada Kyber, Alanis, Hereth, Char, and Mara.J Skywalker Beth on for the finale. And then Friday, we will also have Dyad in the Force on the roundtable with Star Wars Facts Guy.
Ooh. Nice.
And Beth and Camilla, both part of it at the Open Circle.
Oh my gosh.
The Open Circle fleet. So you guys will have to tune into that. We might also, after this whole show ends, we will be possibly doing a rewatch of the Kenobi series on Stream Lounge, so you guys will have to check that out. We will have more details on that. But that is it for this roundtable. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Sorry for the technical difficulties in the beginning. And for Light and for Life,
We are all the Republic.
And may the force be with you.
Always.
Always.
See you guys.